often. So you see that lovely old couple who are just like in their 80s and they're still holding hands and they're all sweet and together. Like they may have companionship chemistry that's the basis of their relationship, and you may have romantic or passionate one of the others, and you're like, why don't we have that? We're still arguing, and it's like, just be in the one that you're in. And like, it's really hard for us because we don't know this information, and so we compare ourselves, and just, it's important to just let it be what it is and harness the gifts of what you have. So yeah, Orbital is a very unusual one that you'll see occasionally. Obviously, there's only 2 of these. So you have to have a 1 and a 5, or a 2 and a 6. And they're the furthest apart you can be in the hexagram, other than 1 and 6. And 1 and 6 have a kind of symbiosis, as you'll see. It's called karmic. But these don't have a symbiosis, these orbital ones. So they really are people that are a long way apart from each other in some respect. But they get drawn together, and they, Dharma brings them together. And, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he has this chemistry with his wife. And I said, what's it like? And he described his relationship. And I was like, that's where I got the name from. I thought, wow, when they're like in orbit with each other, but they're on opposite sides of the orbit, and the orbit is turning, right? And so when she wants to go out, he's tired. And then when he wakes up, she wants to go out. And it's always that way. And so like their moods are like in opposite kind of frames, but there's always a place where they're kind of in balance, because it's cyclical. These relationships are kind of, they seem to be moved by the hormonal field, by the tidal field, by rhythms, the moon itself, perhaps, everything's moving us. And so when you find your wave pattern in one of these relationships, you find the moment where you really connect, and they're precious. They're so precious, but it's not all the time, so you have to kind of work your relationship around the rhythms. Rhythm becomes hugely important for these relationships. And you can see it in this one. The name of it is pushy withdrawal, so one is like withdrawing and the other's pushing, and then the other withdraws and the other pushes. And there's this kind of like very uncomfortable energy when they're missing each other. But the other side, passionate union, is when they kind of get the timing right, and they just find there are these magical moments in their day or in their life or in their week where it suddenly all comes together. And if you know that inside one of these relationships, you just become very patient and very, very forgiving and very kind of easy with it. And you probably even begin to sense it and tune into the rhythm of it. And so when you're not on, you're not on, but you're fine with that. You're just doing whatever you're doing, and she's doing whatever she's doing, or whoever it is. And then suddenly it comes back together, and you're in alignment, and that union occurs. So yeah, you see, Elijah, give us a little play with some of the line keynotes, if you like.
I think it's so important, that mythical moment, like harmonic convergence, like a long-term planets aligned for the perfection of our being, right? Like to genuinely relax with these 2 keys into that being perfect, not being perfect like all of the judgments and self-obsessions that we have, but the naturalness of these 2 beings in alignment. There is a destiny. There's a destiny in orbital chemistries, and it's really special. You might have met each other in one of those moments, and then you'll go through many different variations of this relationship. And I think the gift keynotes are really important, of integrity and naturalness, especially kind of on the in-between times. It's like, until there is that next destined orbit conjunction, naturalness and integrity are 2 gifts that you get to passionately and innocently play in. And they don't have to be about the other. Self-obsession can also be, I'm obsessed with the other looking the way I want them to look, right? It's the narcissus key. It's like this deep self-love that actually turns into trying to control the other, control the world, and judgment too. All of those swords of the mind that feel disappointed at this not feeling good all the time, feeling like it's always together. So naturalness and integrity are teaching we don't need to lose the tension of this orbit, because it's like those pendulums are swinging, and those magical moments where suddenly two clocks are exactly aligned. That is such a special, perfect being moment. So I would just keep exploring, like, what's the passionate destiny of these orbits. And in the meantime, when we're not in a heightened peak of connection, where instead of pushing or withdrawing, how do I live naturally in my integrity and really innocently and lovingly see the other on their orbit? It is so fun to peer through the telescope and see where Neptune is all the way over there. It's not in a perfect alignment with me today, but I get to witness the other's journey and know that even when they go behind the mountain, we're still orbiting each other. We're still in relationship, even when it's on the other side of the moon. So I would just keep practicing that naturalness and integrity, from a place of trusting the destiny of these orbits.